welcome to the Brampton Health Forum, rather session number 7, presented by Canada, India, USA Development Forum. Today's topic is how the businesses are coping with lockdowns, loss of jobs and business, and their outlook for future. This health forum we have been running for the last 2 months, more than 2 months, and it's a 12-part virtual health forum. Today is session number 7, so that leaves us with 5 more sessions to go. And what we are trying to do is to bring together doctors, frontline workers, mind, body, wellness, diabetes, other not-for-profit organizations, and Brampton businesses to discuss various aspects and issues related to pandemic and things affected by the pandemic and how we are recovering from it. Before we begin, let us recognize, okay, page 2, Tejas, please. A quick intro for the forum. Canada, India, USA Development Forum is an Ontario, Canada-based not-for-profit organization working to promote bilateral and trilateral relations between Canada, India, and USA. CIUDF organizes events, conferences, and speaker series lectures with prominent corporate and political leaders in all 3 countries for ideas exchange and knowledge sharing. The forum recently opened up for memberships, and 25 companies, professionals have joined as members so far. Actually, member number 26 just joined today. So with the goal to raise the membership to 300 or more by December next year. And we currently host virtual meetings, and we'll soon be hosting in-person brunch meetings for members and sponsors. I am the founder, president, and CEO of Canada, India, USA Development Forum. These are some of the activities that we normally do. Canada, India Insight Conference once a year, Canada, India, USA Trilateral Conference once a year, business leaders roundtables, political leaders roundtables, member networking events, Consul General's roundtables, education forum with Canadian colleges and universities, health forum, Canada, India Insight e-paper, as well as webinars and virtual sessions on current affairs and issues of importance. Some of these activities actually are done in association with our media partner, Impact Media and Events Corporation, and some are standalone forum activities. So let us also recognize the support for this health forum that we have received so far. This health forum is funded in part by the City of Brampton's Advanced Brampton Fund. And we would like to thank our partner organizations, PCHS Foundation, as well as Suno Canada. And the matching funding support has been provided by Irwin Accounting, Based Ayurved, Process Research Ortec, Nanak Flights, Dentistry on 10, Kotak Personal Injury Law, Tangentia, Cranes Life Sciences, Blue Umbrella Financial, and Truly Financial. So with that, let us begin, and it's an open session. So let me invite Viresh Mathur first. Viresh Mathur runs Blue Umbrella Financial Services and provides insurance and investment services. So as you know, Viresh bhai, the topic is how are businesses coping with the lockdown and the loss of business and your outlook for the future. So please share your own experiences and what you have heard and seen for some of your clients as well.
Thank you, Vipul, for this opportunity to relate my experiences to this group and to a larger audience. Well, my business is one of the essential businesses. As you know, that insurance and healthcare services are hand in hand, where a lot of the services are paid by the Ontario, by OHIP or provincial governments. There are sectors of the insurance that's not pay medical expenses that are not paid by the government, and this is where my business or the insurance business goes hand in hand with the healthcare business. As you know that in today's COVID situation, you hear a lot of stories about people getting COVID and how they're coping with it. Well, we don't hear how they're coping with it and how business are coping. I'll relate my own business. COVID has been a bittersweet experience for me, in the sense that the bitter part of it is I cannot see my clients personally. And there is a dynamic that happens when you're meeting people in person. You can gauge their sense of how they're feeling and their sentiments by their body language. And if it's a couple, how are they reacting to the presentation I'm giving them? So that has become a little bit of a challenge to deal with, because at times people do turn off their cameras while doing these virtual meetings. So that becomes a little bit of a challenge. The other, the sweet part of it is that it's become easier to present something to my clients when I'm talking about the types of things that they should be presented, my recommendations. When I'm sitting with a client, I'm always switching my my computer, showing them, then doing something on my computer, then switching, then turning around to show them. So that is become much easier by doing a Zoom presentation like this, like you guys are in front of me, and I can put anything up on the screen, and it's easier to present. Vipul, if I can have the ability to do that, I would like to do that now.
Sure, sure. You can share the screen and then we can see it all.
Okay.
Jatin there, I think, is driving, so we'll go to him next after
Okay.
this.
So let me go from here. Okay. So I'll start from this.
Okay.
Okay. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay. So when, now this is where I was saying that the presentations, when, like in my business, healthcare and health expenses are come in hand, where the government doesn't pay for the expenses, private insurance does. And there's basically, today I'm going to focus on living benefits. And when we're talking about COVID, what happens in COVID, somebody gets sick, we don't talk about how they are getting, how they're coping with it. We just hear about the cases. So when it comes to living benefits, what happens if you were to get into a get into sickness, you can't work? So you could rely on government plans. You can rely on savings that'll run out. You can liquidate some assets. You can borrow money if you're capable of it. You might have something from your workplace, but if you're self-employed or if you're a spouse, then this is not available to you. And this is where individual insurance comes in. So this is something that everybody should be looking at. There are some things that the government will not pay for. You have to pay out of your own pocket. And if you have families, then it also makes a difference as well. So like for this one here, I'm going to show a small presentation from this, how this works. So the living benefits are the critical illness. So if you get a heart attack, stroke, cancer, all that would be covered under critical illness. And that's usually under age 45. And disability, you need proof of income that covers your income if you were to get injured or sick. And there's group plans we just talked about. So we need a new conversation. So everybody wants to retire. At the end of the day, we all want to retire. And what we need is money to do that, savings. And how do we get those savings? We work, and then we have to pay our bills. There are two things that can stop this from happening. You get into an accident or you get sick. And this is, I'm going to focus on the sickness part of it. So when you're sick, okay, you're unable to work. So if you are in the hospital because of COVID, well, you're not able to work and pay your bills. Bills are still due. You need help. And this could deplete your savings. So we are here to protect your savings, and your retirements. So how do we do that? The living benefits. And this is something that different from traditional types of living benefits. Okay. I'm going to just skip through this because this is all stats, which is not necessary.
Mr. Mathur,
Yes.
you might want to click on stop sharing and start sharing the presentation because we're still looking at your PDF.
Oh, you are?
So yeah, if you're presenting something else, we're not seeing it.
Oh, you're not seeing the PowerPoint?
No, we're looking at your PDF.
Oh,
Yeah, Zoom's not very friendly that way.
can you see this now?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. So then I'm going to start from over here. So where was I? Sorry. Okay. So here, let me start over again. Sorry about that. So we're talking about protecting your family and your retirement. So you want to retire, you need to save money. And how do you get the money? You work. Why do you work? To pay bills, right? And there's two things that can stop that from happening: accident or an illness. So if you're sick if you're in the hospital because of COVID, you're unable to work, still have to pay your bills, and you need help, and you deplete your savings. And you can end up being on the street with this sign there: I need help, pay me, I need money for my retirement. That could be your job at the end. So we want to protect your retirement or your family. So the living benefits we have is critical illness, terminal illness, death, chronic illness. These are some of the benefits that most people talk about when they see their brokers. I'm going to skip through this this one here. This talks about the company, which, being a broker, I can deal with any company. So we're talking about some examples of coverage we offer: accident coverage, sickness, critical illness, disability, and life insurance. These are all the services that I offer. And is done through not just this company, but several companies. So I'm going to skip this. And talk about the living benefits. Accident sickness coverage, which is different from your critical illness policies. This is on top of what you're getting in, if you have a $100,000 critical illness, that is something different. This is a different plan, which I think is very good for what's going on in today's market.
So just to quickly interrupt, does that cover the COVID illnesses currently?
Yes, it does. And this is why I'm focusing on this, Vipul bhai.
And one more thing, in your insurances, do you have any loss in the business side also, revenue loss or any insurances on that part?
Yes, yes, I do. And that is income replacement, which is the industry word for it is disability income. or income replacement insurance. It's the same thing. So that is based on your income, and it covers 66%, 67% of your annual income. It pays you until you recover or to age 65, which is retirement age. So this, what I'm talking about here, these plans cover you above that, okay? So these are accident, hospital, sickness, hospital plans. And what it does, it accident only, sickness only, or both, okay? There are no medical exams. An accident's automatic issue. There is no underwriting. You just answer, in the sickness, you answer just 5, 6 simple questions to qualify. Okay, and what does it cover? It covers hospital confinement. So if you're an accident, you're in the hospital, it pays you up to $300 per day. And the minimum is $75 per day, the maximum, using the maximum. So $300 per day. And it pays you from the first day, and there's no waiting. And there's no income verification. And it covers to age 85. And 24/7 coverage in the United States and Canada. Not international, unfortunately. It has to be injuries, hospital has to be within Canada. And the coverage is for somebody who's 6 months to 69 years old. So I can even cover children for that. And there is no occupational or dangerous activity exclusion. Then second way it covers you is intensive care. If you were to be in ICU for any amount of time, it'll pay an additional $1,200 per day while in the ICU. And this is where the COVID part comes in. So it does cover your COVID hospitalization. So basically, if you're in the ICU, there's a potential of a payment of $1,500 per day. And the payments start from the very first day while you're hospitalized. And hospitalized means 24 hours stay in the hospital is considered 1 day. So here's an example. If you were to be in the ICU for 10 days, it can pay up to $15,000, 100 days, 150. So as you can see that there is a lot of benefits in this program. And also recovery. Once you do recover and you're sent home, they also give you a recovery up to 10 days, $300 per day, or 3 times you're guaranteed 10 days, or up to 3 times the stay in the hospital. So if you're in the hospital for 12 days, it's 3 times 12 is the number of dollars you'll get if you're in the hospital. So for example, for 10 days, this is how much you'll get paid. 20 days, 10 days, 30 days for recovery. So you can see that there's a lot of benefit for this type of coverage. Up to 300 days, you can see the numbers do add up. And this is for accident only. You can see that the numbers, the longer you stay in the hospital, the more money that you'll be paid out to you. Then, if suppose you're not hospitalized, what happens? Then they also pay you up to $300 per day, maximum of 14 days for accident and sickness. So, and also recovery time to go home. So if you're recovery of 14 days there at home, you have a potential of getting $4,200 for just 1 day a visit to the hospital. It pays for ambulance. You know, in Ontario, the ambulance cost is $40, Well, with this company, they'll pay up to $600 for accident sickness if you were using an ambulance to get to the hospital. Okay, so now how much is all this going to cost you? You pay insurance for your house. You pay insurance for your car. And how much do you pay for yourself? And the DOP plan, which covers all this, just for the accident alone, will cost $56 per month. And this also covers family. So if you get the family coverage, it also covers your children and your wives. If your kids are hospitalized for COVID, then these same benefits will be paid out for your children. So now your whole family is covered. And here's the family plans. And the same thing with sickness. Okay. And it covers heart attack, stroke, cancer. So all these things we can do for you. So this is very relevant for COVID. As I start off in the beginning, what is the cost of COVID to families and to businesses? The cost is the medical expenses. Yes, some things are covered by the government, but what about paying for parking? What about paying for food? What about paying for your living expenses? If your child is in the hospital for COVID-related issues, or your spouse, well, Vipul or Tejas, any of you, anybody who's listening, would you be taking a day off to look after your family? And if you answer yes, then this plan will cover your family as well. So it pays the whole family for if you were to be hospitalized for any type of sickness, including COVID. And it covers everything. There are some exclusions, but only for 2 years. After 2 years, then all these things are also be covered as well. And then you have your critical illness, which can cover cancer only, cancer, heart attack, stroke, or everything. And I won't go through this because this is for, I don't know, I know my time is limited, so I won't go through the whole presentation. But there are plans that will cover people who have had cancer, who cannot get critical illness or any type of living benefits, where my company through Blue Umbrella, we're professional shoppers, we can do that for you. You can find the right product to cover the medical emergencies for your family.
So I have a question. Sorry, I have a question here. You mentioned about the people who have a cancer in the past, or who are survivor, or who are still in a patient for this disease. The insurance, what you are mentioning, is it only for the critical insurance they will cover, or is it a life coverage they can do the life insurance also?
So what I'm talking about here is living benefits, okay? And anybody who has cancer, they can still get the type of critical illness. It's a very niche type of policy. So I can cover people who've had cancer, but they'll be covered for stroke and heart attack and all that. And cancer may be excluded. Okay, but for life insurance, it's different. Anybody who is a cancer survivor, there are policies that will cover people that have had some health issues. Everybody's insurable at a cost. And if you're serious about protecting your families, then people like me, from insurance brokers can help you find the right product to protect you against any financial emergencies due to sickness or death issues in the family. So a lot of options are there. Now, I know I have a lot to talk about. I know pretty soon that Vipul is going to cut me off, but everybody is different, okay?
Right.
And they have different issues. If you have families, then for living benefits, this company is ideal because it covers families as well. So if your child, if you have a child that is born prematurely and they're into ICU, well, that child is covered from the day that child is born. And this company I'm showing you here will pay up to $300 per day while your child is recovering in the ICU unit because of premature birth. So insurance is a type of product that is there. Money is there when you need it. When you need the money is there, and the earlier that you get into it, the cheaper it's going to be. The more that you wait, it goes by age and by health. As a rule of thumb, the longer that you wait every year, the premium will go up by 2%. And also goes by health. The healthier you are, the cheaper the insurance is. If your health starts to deteriorate, you may become insurable, or there are companies that do insure the uninsurable, but at a very high cost. So everything,
Sure.
nothing.
Okay, you,
I'm almost
Chaitanya,
done.
you want to add anything? Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So anything is possible when it comes to getting covered. And this is where you should be talking to an insurance broker rather than using AI. AI is great, but when you go online and do your own thing, you don't have the advice of an expert that can guide you through what your family needs, because the cheapest may not always be the best. So I had more. I can keep talking, but I'm going to stop here. But if you have any questions, please ask me.
Sure, no problem. So as I mentioned, thank you for the presentation and for letting people know if they get COVID or COVID related complications, there are insurance protections available. So it is important that we share it with people. So as I mentioned that 2 people today, okay, so at least Vijay bhai is back home. You are not driving anymore.
No, thank you. Sorry. I was in the car for some time, so I was a little late.
No, that's fine. So Jatinder, I believe, is still driving. So let's bring him in first. Jatinderji, you can go next and tell us about your experiences, pandemic related.
Yeah, sure, Vipul. Thanks for the time. I have one question for regarding the insurance. What I saw the presentation. If you can share some info, especially regarding the business insurances for the income replacement or AR. I don't know if you can work on AR and AP modules also, where they give the insurances if something goes wrong to your invoices level. There are some companies who are providing the insurance. So just see if you have something like along those lines. Any product you have, please share with us. That would be great.
If you can email me the details, then I can. My email is Viresh at blueumbrellafinancial.ca. People can share my information with the group.
Yeah, I will get it from Vipul. No problem.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
If you have specific questions, please email me and I'll answer them directly.
Sure.
Sure.
So the second agenda, what we're talking about related with the COVID, definitely, every company, I think, have issues during the COVID. Initially, when COVID started, it was a big issue for us because we are in IT industry, and initially we are doing a lot of developments for different companies, and at the same time we are providing them all the staffing and the development piece. So as soon as started, all the banks and all the big organizations, they are start cutting the projects. So it was a huge impact to us on the COVID side when it started from the business perspective. But anyway, it was recovered, so it's all good now. But especially from the impact wise, from the in the day-to-day operations or in daily business meetings, I'm seeing both positives and negatives on both sides, some pros and cons. Most positive, what I've seen is that people or all our employees, they are pretty much interested to work only from home, where they can save a lot of time on traveling. But where on other side, there are some people which they are in sales or they are in more in business development. They are a kind of from the productivity they are going down, because you can't meet with people, you can't see the reactions from the people when you go and meet with them to see what kind of reaction they are getting after their presentation. It's good to have a Zoom call. You can present your stuff, but end of the day, it's very tough or very hard to find out what other person is thinking or what they have in another mindset. So at least you can predict if you're talking person to person. That's one. And second, what I've seen from the business perspective, a lot of within our employee side, they are seeing health issues because they don't have anything else to do. In the morning, they will start the work and they will finish the work around 6 or 7ish. So there's no a specific time frame around the work. So anytime, even the employees are taking not advantage, but the employees also expecting that you are at home. Maybe you can work another half an hour. Maybe you can work another an hour or so. So there's no a specific timetable I can see, especially for the employees where it used to be 9 to 5, where they know at 5 they have to leave the office and reach at home and do other things. But now, because everyone is working from home, people are a kind of taking not advantage, but taking a liberty to to ask employees to do some more work. And so there's a huge impact on that one, what I've seen in people's life. And because of these things, and because you can't go out, I'm seeing a lot of divorce rate goes up in the society also. A lot of fight is happening, a lot of other things. So definitely there is a negative impact overall from the COVID perspective. Again, it's for some industries, it's pretty good. Logistics, if you look at logistics, they are minting money, and look at Amazon, they are minting money because of this, and their profit goes 3 times more than what they used to have it. So it's again is pros and cons were based on industry to industry, but it's sad to see, it hits us and it caused a lot of negative issues towards the society, which I think is my concern, where we are giving a lot of options to our employees, even to come and if you want work from office, no issues. Even for a couple of hours you want to come, you can come and you can see outside life as compared to sitting in the set at home. So that's the 2 cents from my side, guys. This is what I have seen from the COVID perspective.
Sure. Thank you for sharing. Yes, thank you for sharing, Jatinderji. So let us bring in Sandeep Todi. He also has an IT as well as a financial background. So let's hear from Sandeep bhai. You did a lot of work actually at the beginning of the pandemic, in terms of sending the, what do you call it now, the concentrators and other things. So over to you, Sandeep bhai.
Thank you, Vipul bhai. Yeah, I guess, we all try to do, small things in our own way. And that's also a very key element of where society is moving today, oftentimes we don't take action because we think it's too small or too insignificant. But just imagine the power of collective thinking. If everybody starts thinking like that, then the society is reduced to inaction. But if everybody takes a small action, then you see the force multiplier is tremendous. And you can see that, in every walk of life. I think, we all see, and we all have family in India, the huge impact that general citizens had when there was oxygen shortage, or even vaccine hesitancy and many other things at the ground level. It's actually the involvement and the proactiveness of everybody at the ground level that makes a huge difference. I can tell you there were some vaccine concerns in my own family back home, but there's this constant dialogue and conversation that is required to make a big difference, and to move in the direction in which there is common good. And oftentimes we ignore the common good, and it's sacrificed when we think of our own good. But I was listening to a very beautiful commentary. In fact, just today morning when I was out for a walk, this was about how society as a whole and our own civilization has created mechanisms where we limit what we can do. And so when we talk about financial controls, when we talk about government involvement, there is a lot of, for example, policies that prevent us from doing what we're supposed to be doing. And this is funnily enough, how did these policies come? It came through evolution. Do all policies work for us? The answer is many policies work for us, but there are several that don't work for us. So in many ways, and this is kind of also a rhetorical thing, the things that we create for ourselves tend to become, at some point, things that also hold back the progress or also lead to detrimental situations. And this was very apparent during COVID, and I think COVID is a splendid example of how mankind can do things that leads to its own destruction. And I'm not trying to exaggerate this. Now after COVID, now we are seeing climate issues. So we've created this whole mechanism where we are doing things very mechanically, and we are just doing things because we think it's good for us, but we are ignoring the fact that these are not sustainable. And our whole human race and civilization is moving towards a situation which might become irreparable very, very soon. So if COVID had not happened, we would not be talking about remote work. We would not be talking about mental health. We would not be talking about public good. We would not be talking about journalism, which has changed in the last 2 years, the way we are talking about it today, because it really created a shock therapy for the whole planet, and it requires something of that magnitude to make us realize that we are going in the wrong direction. So Viresh's talk about insurance itself. Insurance is a topic nobody likes to talk about, but we all need it, right? Today it's necessary. And why is it necessary? Because we live in a world of so much uncertainty. But Viresh, thank you for sharing that. There were some really insightful and useful things in what you said. The thing is, it's really for us to have our own agency and to take charge of what we want to do and what we see for ourselves and our families in the next 20, 30 years, whatever we have left personally. I don't think there's any other option or choice that we can take a back seat and let things happen the way they've happened in the past. I think I can say so myself, and I think for the vast majority of us also, we've always had situations where or phases in life where we've been passive to what's going on around us because we're just so busy. It's not about intent. It's about we're just so busy with what we are doing. But then, when something like this happens, what we've experienced in the past couple of years, it's a wake-up call. It's up to us whether we recognize it or we continue to operate in the way that we've been doing it earlier. I for sure have changed a lot. I think for me, the connection with my own family, which is distant, which is spread across like so many places, that has become stronger, not weaker. You start realizing a lot of values become heightened, and you start valuing them. Okay, this is like a repetition, but you start valuing valuing those values a lot more. When you know that what could be the other side of the coin. So, overall, we've been through a tumultuous chain of events, and actually it's not ending. You can see small things happening here and there. Down south in the US, there are all of these hurricanes and things happening. There's talk about many other things, in climate, in politics, and so on. We're in for change, and we can be part of this change and make it positive by getting involved and really taking a longer term view. I think we've been, as a civilization, we've taken a short-term view for far too long.
Okay. So that was very kind of, straight from the heart, I can say, coming, those personal experiences. So that was all about, today. What is your outlook for tomorrow? Where do you see us next 6 months? Sandeep, for you.
Sure. Yeah, I can take a stab at that. I think we are so on the one hand, we've had challenges, but the other thing is, we as human beings are known for being able to overcome and resist many threats in the past, right? And we've hopefully, I think, successfully done that with COVID. So I'm very positive about what the next 6 to 12 months holds. We as an organization have been dealing with this at many different levels, both on the work front and our own employees and teams personal front. And you have to be constantly evolving and changing. So going forward, I do see that the way we approach work certainly has shifted a lot. And even if it's a cliched term, but I think that new normal is not yet fully defined. Changes will happen. Large organizations are trying to figure out whether return to work or return to the office is a sensible thing to do and whether it's sustainable. I think there will be some middle ground that will be found where the employees' well-being as well as the organization's needs, because every organization needs to grow. There's competition, and you need to constantly innovate. So there are many different work models depending upon what industry you are in, but that level will be found, and we will go forward from here. So I'm really quite positive about the kind of innovation and resilience that we are capable of to take us out of this and enter into a new phase of growth. And here's the other thing. It's not just about positivity. I think there's also a lot of opportunity. We have seen that, and this has happened through many revolutions in the past, right? The Industrial Revolution being the latest one, the one before the computing and the internet revolution. So we have seen whenever these situations happen, it almost always leads to a new way of doing things and a new phase of growth. So that is because we discover new opportunities. And I think in many ways, whatever we've seen over the last couple of years, there are a lot of new opportunities with not just creating new job opportunities, but new industries, new things that are useful to the human civilization, which companies and innovators and inventors will create opportunities around that and scale up from there. So that's the positive side of these, I would say, unfortunate events.
Okay, fair enough. So the one institution that can prepare people for all these new opportunities are our colleges and universities. They are usually quick to adapt, to come up with new courses that can help the youngsters, right, cope with these kind of challenges. And for the workplaces of tomorrow, so we have with us today Nagasarath Pandurangi from Seneca College. I mean, students, especially the international students, coming to Canada have been going through a very difficult time, especially the last year and a half. Whether it is studying online, getting their visas, they're traveling now since April, because of the flight ban and whatnot. So what has been your experience? I mean, I'm sure you have been going through this on a daily basis for the last 5-6 months. So what is your experience, and where do you see this thing going?
Thank you, Vipul. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, perfectly.
Thanks. Namaste, everyone. And thank you for inviting me. And it was insightful to learn from the other industries like insurance. And just to kind of give you some numbers about how the COVID has impacted the colleges and the international students in particular, I would like to share a brief of just a brief data. This is a survey conducted by the Seneca Student Federation, which is the student body where elections are held every couple of years, and the Student Federation is run by the students and headed by a student. And these are the kind of numbers that we saw when we conducted this survey last year in October. There was loss of jobs, as mentioned by many of my co-panelists today. And housing was a big problem for students. Food insecurity, though it is not a big percentage, but international students particularly had problems with food insecurity during this time when they just landed in Canada, and they're yet to find places where they can find food. And also medical and wellness, basically students who have come during the pandemic, though the international students have an insurance, that is the international health insurance that is provided by a third party for Seneca, they still faced 89% of them had anxiety issues and mental health issues during this time due to the stress. And family and child care and elder care, the mature students who come to us who had a family and children, they had also problems with the healthcare for their dependents. And most of the programs were turned online instantaneously. Like Vipul mentioned, we were very quick to respond to what was happening. The flights were banned, the international students cannot come in. Those who have paid the fee were stuck in their own countries trying to get the education that they were hoping for. So Seneca already had a system in place. We have our online and part-time education, which was running always online. So that experience helped us to instantly cope with this abrupt change in how students study. And also the Seneca's response in terms of our pandemic. As you can see here, we have helped around 23,000 plus students with payments. We have given them bursaries to help them cope with this situation. We also have given out laptops for students who were unable to afford during this time. We gave away 1,200 loaner laptops for these students to study from home wherever they are in Canada, if the students are in Canada. And we also gave away $25 gift cards to over 4,000 students in order to help them with the daily groceries and other things. So we have a dedicated website, and we also ran a campaign with our alumni to kind of ask them to help and donate to these students who are stuck with this COVID pandemic. Having said that, I'll just talk about the introduction of topic. How are we coping with the lockdowns? Basically, as one of my co-panelists mentioned, business development works on one-on-one personal interaction. And me sitting here in Canada, it's a difficult job to convince for students, that too during a pandemic, to come to Canada and study with us. So that has been a great challenge in the initial days. Particularly May 2020 was a very difficult time for us. And instantaneously, like I said, we have moved to online courses and flexible courses where students can do it online. However, we had to train them how to cope with the online courses, because we had not everyone is tech savvy and not all programs are about computers. So there are different kinds of programs which can't be run online. Say, for example, early childhood education, which is a program run by Seneca. It requires students to interact with small children, and there is no interaction at all, and they cannot travel. So those kind of programs have been temporarily suspended last year. However, we have started them in flexible mode this year, and students can do the lab work. Say, for example, chemical lab technician is a program where students have to do the lab work on campus. And we have put in place the required assessments. We have a Seneca Safe app where students can register. Once they have done 2 doses, they can get their vaccine approval to enter the campuses. And all the Seneca has taken a stance that all the students and employees who have been vaccinated can enter the campus. Without vaccination, students cannot enter the campus. So that's the kind of mandate that we have been following. And we have also talked to our insurance, third-party insurance, making sure that all the COVID-related expenses, including the expense for the vaccination, and in case COVID-affected international students need some healthcare, they can avail this insurance, and they will be paid for through this insurance. So those are the steps briefly that we have taken in during this pandemic. And just briefly covering loss of jobs and the outlook for the future. We have seen that except for the hospitality related programs, which are particularly related to restaurants and international travel related programs and global hospitality programs. These programs were really affected in the past 6 to 8 months. And except for those, all the other programs have seen a very good recovery in terms of students applying. And this year, even the global hospitality program in September has been in the path of recovery. So those were the things. And because of the job loss in hospitality management, we are just seeing green shoots here after the reopening of Ontario in terms of business. And the outlook for the future, I think the flexibility and the hybrid mode of study is here to stay. I don't think it is going away anywhere soon. And we have adapted ourselves to have smart classrooms where students either come to classroom, and we have given them the flexibility to stay at home and study, or come to the classroom and study. We have live classrooms where the students who come to the campus and who are at home can listen to the lectures at the same time and pose their questions and have an interaction through these smart classrooms. So those were some of the important points I would like to start with.
Sure. So, I mean, just a quick question on that. What is the percentage of students? I mean, if you have noticed, if students have decided to skip a year, maybe to take a break or something, because as you said, they are paying a lot of money and learning virtually, right? That is number one. Number two, there may be situations at home, health conditions, of a family member that is preventing them from studying or focusing on their own education, on their own future. So there could be many underlying situations at home, at their institution. So what is the percentage of students that have taken a break this year?
Right. This year, we have not seen many cases taking a break. It was particularly last year. And we are glad, and touch wood, we have seen the levels of pre-COVID this year in terms of enrollment. And that's the kind of resurgence that we are seeing in Indian economy as well. Basically, those students who had financial crisis last year due to the recovery in India and particularly opening up of businesses across India and the faster pace of vaccination that's happening in India has helped us to keep up our pace, and we are actually we have returned to the pre-COVID levels this year in September. And it was only a temporary blip in May 2020 and September 2020. For January, we have seen strong recovery. January 2021 and September 2021, we have seen a great recovery.
Wonderful. Okay, sure. So good to know. That gives us the education perspectives during the pandemic. And that brings us to our next speaker, Vijay Thomas, who also has a technology background. But he's not just limited to technology now, he is getting into a lot of different sectors. So welcome, Vijay bhai. Why don't you talk about your own experiences? And contrary to a lot of other people, he has actually been expanding very, very fast into multiple sectors.
Thank you, Vipul bhai, and yes, I think it's been a fantastic listening to all of the different perspectives, and I think Viresh, I one thing that stayed in my mind was you can insure anything as long as you're willing to pay for it, right? I think that's fantastic. So I think that's a fantastic. People should not despair. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a cost attached, but everything can be insured. I think that's fantastic and something that people should keep in mind. It's not the end of the world. There is insurance for everything. I was just listening, and Sandeep, you're definitely very enlightened, and I think there's a lot of people that are going down that path, and then I'll give you an example of where in the IT field, people. When this started in March of last year, when we everybody went remote, we were kind of ahead of the curve. I kind of got a feel that this was going to happen, so I started forcing people try to work from home. And people were fighting me. There's big change management issues. People said, I like to go to the office. I said, hey, you like to go to the office, but that might not be an option, a week from now, 2 weeks from now. So we had to force people to go try. Does your internet work? Let's be prepared for this, right? So we actually, we force people to do that, and rather than wait for, the government to mandate working from home and stuff like that. So we were kind of ahead of the curve with some of that. Secondly, I think, in a way, there's this Intel. There was one of the founders of Intel, Andy Grove, who said only the paranoid survive. So at some point, what I kind of became very paranoid. I mean, I was like, this is the end of the world. I mean, this is, what do we do? I mean, we might lose customers. We might do, what's going to happen, right? So I started, kind of overcompensating a lot of things. We started diversifying, looking for customers. We actually went and gave some discounts to long customers. Told them, sign a longer deal, we'll give you a discount. So we tried doing a lot of things. So which kind of, on hindsight, were good things to do, but it was not. I mean, I'm not going to take credit that I foresaw a lot of things. I was scared. I was literally scared. I mean, so we did it out of paranoia, and we did that. But a lot of those things happened. But come up to now, and as Sandeep mentioned, this is not the end of it. I mean, and there is a long tail of COVID. People that got COVID will tell you this, that it is something that you can't just shake off, right? It's not it's 2 weeks and I'm back to normal. It is something that you are going to live with. I mean, I don't know, it probably takes some time, but it's not quick. But the other part of this is also the way we are working. Now, I think somebody mentioned that everybody's going back to work from home, but working from home has its own problems, right? A lot of our homes are not designed for husband, wife to work together, kids to work, online thing. I'm pretty sure, I don't know the numbers, statistics, but I'm pretty sure there's a large number. I don't think the studies have been done as yet of marriages that have been in trouble because of COVID. Okay, because of husband, wife spending too much time together. of kids also in the same house, and houses are not designed, right? I mean, so I think there's those aspects of it. Today, at Tangentia, we've now, proactively, we saw signs of it. There were people quitting. There's this big resignation. They talk about this, great resignation that's going to come. But we see that already. There's things happening. We also see another big thing is mental health. I think mental health is something that people have been, putting under the carpet for a long time. It is serious. It is real. It is something that I think companies will have to take more seriously. And today, because a lot of these people are on their own, right? There's no way the water cooler conversation. And I'll give you an example of India. You went to the neighborhood chai store and had a tea, or you went to Tim Hortons and picked your coffee with your buddies. All of that helped get get some kind of a I'm not the expert here, but I think it made you feel more comfortable, mentally stronger. All of that stuff is missing now. So I think there is as a society, as Sandeep said, there's change happening. It's already happening. I think we've got to embrace ourselves and open us to having those difficult discussions in the workplace, having those difficult discussions in places, organizations that we're part of. And I don't think it's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of everybody falls ill. It is an illness. If you got COVID as well, it's not a sign that it's something wrong. So I think that's something that we've been working on, and I think what we've done at Tangentia was in lieu of the water cooler conversations, we started something called Tangentia Talkies. Every day for like 15 minutes worldwide, you found a time that's convenient for India and US and Canada. And for 15 minutes, everybody in the company joins together. Somebody talks, it's almost like an internal TED Talks. And we've got maybe like 150, 200 people that join up. They listen to somebody. And we've also, this is an opportunity for us to meet people. There's a lot of people that we've hired that I have not met, that a lot of people have not met. We've hired people, a lot of people have come and gone, and nobody's met them. So there needs to be some kind of an opportunity to do this. So I think, some things, we've tried to do these things. I don't know if it's enough, but I think, other organizations are doing the same thing as well. But I think there is need for people to kind of, take cognizance that even working from home, you might think you have a lot of time to yourself. You can do gardening, take the dog for the walk. But you know what? At some point, I think human beings crave, the human interaction, and for that reason, I have a few investments in commercial real estate. I am not going to sell. I think the office is going to come back, but you know what? It's always debatable. But I think that's my 2 cents here. So thank you.
Sure. And especially during the pandemic, I believe you also diversified into a healthcare sector. So how is that coming along, and where do you see that? Because the pandemic is not going away anywhere anytime soon, as at least next few months. So in terms of the masks and gloves and everything, we are still there looking for it the next few months. And after that, where are you going to kind of, go from there?
It's a very good question. So I mean, those of you who don't know, we invested in a company that makes, it's actually an apparel company. So we invested in a make in Canada apparel company, and then we saw the opportunity in making isolation hospital gowns and masks and stuff like that. So we got lucky. We missed that initial buzz. So there was a big spike where a lot of people imported a lot of stuff and done something. But we got it a little late, but I think we got on a couple of good contracts. However, what we realized is we're not in the isolation gown making business. We're in the make in Canada apparel business. So we've gone and started talking to people that brands like Roots, like Canada Goose, a couple of those people that really pride on being a make in Canada brand, and we've gone and offered our services to be back end for them. And I must say it did work. those of you who know Drake has a brand called Ovio. It has an owl on it. So now we've started making some of Drake's Ovio hoodies. So, it's not big numbers, but at least we hope it starts off and then, so just in case, it will end at some day, we've got a backup.
Sure. No, that is good to know actually. And so that means, if somebody wants to meet Drake, you need to call Vijay Thomas.
I haven't met him as yet, so I'm hoping that someday we'll do. I have not met him, so it's yeah. But yes, I'm if I do, we'll see that.
Sure. I think Viresh bhai has a question for you, Vijay bhai. Viresh bhai, go ahead.
Yeah. So Viresh bhai, we can do that, but again, it's a very big factory. So for us, the volumes that we will have to do for that would be very high. It would be in the millions of mass, right? So
okay.
So I think you're better off with people. There are smaller players that can do that for cheaper. Our lines, our numbers are bigger. But okay. Again, for a special one, I can do something for you. I mean, just because we've been on this panel, but usually we're doing bigger numbers. But we will just send me the information. We'll see what we can do.
There's a simple solution to that, Vijay. So we can just request you to make Drake branded masks and sell them, right? Make them in the millions. But congratulations for venturing into a new area, and you also touched upon one thing which I think it's important in many ways. And Vipul, I'll just take 1 minute on this. And I'm not against globalization. I think globalization is important. We have to optimize and make progress, but there's little argument for saying that a country like Canada, we cannot manufacture something as simple as a mask. There is very little argument to say that we have to fly fruits and vegetables from halfway across the world. Sure, because of our climate, some things we have to do, but you don't have to import like potatoes and tomatoes, right? Like, I think this whole thing about the globalized economy and not being able to manufacture or be self-sufficient in some really critical areas. This is something which many countries, and I'm not just talking about Canada, they're realizing. And really hats off to you for finding an opportunity and seeing that yes, this is something that Canada can do and should do.
Yeah. Now, however, you raise a very good point, and this is the part where the government also should look at it like very similar to the carbon tax. Right. So what does the carbon tax entail? The carbon tax is basically saying polluting, industries, polluting technologies will have to pay a tax, and that tax goes to the cleaner technologies. Very similar to that, again, there'll be people who will be baying for my blood now, but I will say that the only way, a make in Canada will compete with a make in China or a make in India or a make in Vietnam is there has to be support. Very similar to a carbon tax, there has to be a tax on stuff, because a made in Canada is providing employment in Canada. There's a trickle down economic benefits. Now, all of that, has a benefit. Now, if somebody has to look at it, right? If the purchasing authority is only going to go at whoever gives you the minimum, you will not win, right? So I think that's the part where we've got to look at it a little more holistically. We've got to look at how there is a support, because if you're going to pay more for this, it's anyway coming back into the economy. So I think those are aspects that need to be looked at a little more carefully. And otherwise, at some point, if people say, we're all back to normal and let's procure the cheapest thing from anywhere in the world, we're going to go back to our old ways. And I think is where we need people to sit up and take notice, and I think Canada has to stand up and industry has to stand up and say that we need some of these things to fall in place.
Wonderful. Okay, so then we had one more speaker today, actually, City and Brampton City Councillor and Peel Regional Councillor Gurpreet Dhillon. He was going to give a presentation himself as well. Unfortunately, he called me like an hour before the event that he had to attend to a personal family emergency. so he cannot make it today. I hope everything is well to the person that is attending to. But we will just go through his notes, that he has sent us. And before that, Tejas, if we can recognize our sponsors one more time, because of whom we are able to do this health forum. As I said in the beginning, this is a 12-part virtual health forum. And today is the session number 7 with 5 more sessions to go. So the health forum is funded in part by the City of Brampton's Advanced Brampton Fund. And we are thankful to our partner organizations, PCHS Foundation and Suno Canada. And matching funding support has been provided by Irwin Accounting, Based Ayurved Limited, Process Research Ortec, Dentistry on 10, Truly Financial, Blue Umbrella Financial Services, Prince Life Sciences, Tangentia, Nanak Flights, and Kotak Personal Injury Law. With this, Tejas, if you can also bring up the notes that Councillor Dhilan has sent us. So we'll just do the screen sharing. So instead of just reading through the whole 3-page or 2-pager, people can see on the screen sharing, and we'll just highlight some key points. So this is what we have received from the councillor. And I think the major points, Tejas, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll just read off a few quick ones here. So just by the numbers, the City of Brampton organized 7 tele town halls for all sizes of businesses within different sectors and with more than 1,200 participants. And earlier this year, they hosted a series of small business roundtables with provincial, regional, and city representatives with more than 50 participants to discuss the impact of the lockdown. And over last year, they've had more than 16,000 touch points with local small businesses over the pandemic. And they're hosting ongoing webinars to support businesses. They have developed an economic recovery strategy as a framework for the city to move forward with restarting the local economy. And they've also supported the Brampton Patio program, Support Local campaign, and Digital Main Street programs, Shop Here, Digital Transformation Grants, and Future Proof. In terms of other changes and notes, so they have deferred property tax payments over the 2 years. They have kept a lower baseline budget to maintain city service levels, delivered a 3rd consecutive property tax freeze, and contributed to the city's reserves. In addition to this, I just wanted to note that as of September 10th, 85% of Peel residents aged 12 plus have received at least 1 dose, and 77% are fully vaccinated. In Brampton, 65% are fully vaccinated, and I guess that's 78% have received 1 dose. Brampton also continues to support vaccination efforts of the region of Peel, William Osler, and community partners. So this includes pop-up clinics, Go Wax buses, Wax Van, Wax clinics held for city staff. Another point, as a hot zone, the City of Brampton took a lead on engaging and educating the public through community awareness campaigns to curb community transmission and encourage vaccination. It's also important to note that the city will implement a vaccination policy for all City of Brampton staff. This is presently shaping up in consultation with their labor partners, and the city will review the regulations of the province of Ontario's proof of vaccination to analyze any municipal impact on city facilities, services, and programming. I think we can stop there, Vipul.
Sure, no problem. So the city, some of the city councillors and the regional councillors, as well as Mayor Patrick Brown, have participated at some of the earlier sessions, and we'll bring them all back on the last session, the session number 12. So there are other sessions coming up soon, and Tejas is also associated with PCHS Foundation as well. So if you want to share some of your own personal experiences through the pandemic, feel free.
Sure. I do consulting for charities and nonprofits. I started doing that pretty much over the same time that the lockdown started. And so as sometime last year, I was contacted by PCHS Foundation to take over. And so I've been serving as an interim CEO. PCHS Foundation is connected with the Punjabi Community Health Services, or PCHS. They are reasonably well known in Brampton and Mississauga. They provide different health and social services in a culturally appropriate context. And the foundation is a separate entity, so that focuses pretty much on fundraising. So it has a lot of flexibility. And so the pandemic did have a significant impact. Till date, I have not been to the office, but the organization being a very small organization, I was able to take over rather quickly in terms of pretty much operating over email and just email and phone call. Social media has been of great help. We have maintained our profile on our Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram channels with regular output. So that has been a good way to keep followers and supporters informed and involved. Because one of the things that you notice is, if just because the physical contact is stopped, it doesn't mean that your social media presence has to stop. And so we had some bumps at first, but then got a smooth operating schedule. And one of the biggest helps has been the Canada Summer Jobs Grant, through which we hired 3 youth who have helped create some wonderful infographics, which was shared through social media. And they're currently working on creating summaries of different reports, and putting together an event on health-related issues connected to the South Asian community. So even though it's on a small budget, I believe the foundation has had a good impact in terms of continuing to support and its core objectives. And it's definitely been a challenge, but I think this is something, like as others in this panel have mentioned, it is something that we can survive and we can come out better and stronger at the end of this. So I do look forward to meeting others in person, but I realize that the pandemic will limit interactions for a while. And I think we'll just have to navigate this through all of the limitations that the governments might impose. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So for those who don't know, Tejas is also helping us to coordinate this health forum as well. So final 30-second closing remarks from everyone on this topic and for your outlook for the future. So I will start again from Viresh Bhai, and then we'll go to the others. 30 seconds closing remarks, please.
Well, again, thank you, Vipul, for this opportunity to talk about our experiences. Again, if you have any specific questions about what I talked about, you can call me or my information. Just put the information on WhatsApp, and I'll contact you.
Sure. Vijay Bhai?
Yeah, I think one is, I think people should not start celebrating. I think it's not the end. We've got there's a little more way to go. I know people are kind of wanting to go out there and party, and there's a sense of nothing can happen, but things can happen. And I'm personally been people close to me that I've lost people very close to people that I know as well, and it's very serious. It's very COVID, and even if you've got once COVID, I was talking the long tail. There's one person, and then this is so so dramatic that in the morning I exchanged WhatsApp messages with the gentleman, and by noon he died. Okay, so it is quite, not to scare people, but it is to be real, that whatever we're talking about is quite real. It's not to be taken lightly. I think that's my message to people. Is to still keep your guard up, and obviously we've got to the world has to go on, business has to go on, but the guard has to be up.
And get vaccinated.
Absolutely. So
sorry, get vaccinated and wear a mask, protect yourself.
Yes.
Sure. So, I mean, there's just one 10-second I would like to take there. In terms of the long-term effects, there's also something that is now catching some attention, which is called long COVID. So it's just that you have got the virus once and now you are safe. It's not like that. There is a long-term effect that lingers on for weeks and months, in some cases over 6 months. So people still struggle due to long COVID. So that's what we have to be careful about. Okay, so Nagasarath, your closing remarks.
Thank you, Vipul bhai, and congratulations, Vijay, on your extension into a new venture. We have been hearing that Warren Buffett has started with textiles, so you have ventured into that. I hope you reach the heights of him as well. And yes, in terms of vaccinations, yes, I would support, and Seneca's stance has always been to get 2 doses of vaccination, without which you cannot enter the campus. Seneca also has lended its entire gym for vaccination purposes to North York General Hospital. Please go onto the website. I would request all of them to get vaccinated, both the doses. Now the appointments are relatively free, and it's always a like Vijay has mentioned, there have been dramatic incidents where they thought they were safe, and the next moment we see their demise. Having said that, thank you once again for this opportunity, Vipul bhai, and it's always educational to participate in these panels. And I thank all the co-panelists as well.
Thank you, Nagasarath. Sandeep bhai, that makes you the final closing remarks, and then we can close the session.
Always a tough job to bring up the rear end, but it's been an incredible discussion. While Vijay, Viresh, and Nagasarath, they've all repeated, they've all mentioned about COVID vaccination and masks, but I will say it once again because I think it just cannot be repeated enough. If you have not got your second dose, God forbid first dose, please get it. Wherever you're going, please wear the mask, because it's not just for yourself, it's for everybody else. And we have a joint social responsibility for this. Just to end this, my professional work is in banking and payments. We serve thousands of small businesses across US and Canada. If there is any small business that needs any help or advice in financial matters, in terms of banking and payments, or even in marketing, which is my specialty, I'll be happy to offer up some time, voluntary basis. And this has been a really great discussion and very illuminating for me as well. And thank you for having me.
Sure. So thank you everyone for participating. I think Jatinder has left. Okay, so I see a raised hand. Viresh bhai, you want to say something?
No, not me. No, I did not raise my hand.
Okay, it shows a raised hand. Maybe. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, that's all right. So so that was session number 7 for Brampton Health Forum, hosted by Canada, India, USA Development Forum. And there are 5 more sessions to go, and we'll bring together collectively, we will be bringing together more than 100 speakers from different sectors, mind, body, wellness, medical officers of health, city councillors, regional councillors, mayor, and several businesses. So this will continue. We will edit this video and then post it on our website, also on our YouTube channel, and will also be posted on all social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. So thank you for participating. Let's all keep doing our part. And the session is now formally closed. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.